tonight's Heart and Body Naturals education call. And our speaker for tonight is Alexandria Brighton, who is our exclusive Heart and Body Natural formulator and educator, a master herbalist and aromatherapist. And tonight, Alexandria is going to share with us what makes our Heart and Body Naturals essential oils so special. So, Alexandria, go ahead and take it away.
All right. Thank you, Lynn, and thank you to all who are listening live or by recording. We do appreciate that. Now that we have some of the essential oils in Heart and Body, I hope that all of you have had a chance to try some, and then you'll kind of know what our talk is going to be about here. Amazingly enough, we do have quite a few people from other companies who are buying kind of under the radar because they don't have some oil in particular that they are interested in their companies that work as well as the ones we do. So this talk tonight is going to be about our quality and some of the things that we do as a company that make us a little different than some of the other companies out there that are selling essential oils. And that does not mean that all the companies out there are bad. They're just different. And we are happy with what we do and the standards we have set, and we believe that you will be happy with those also, especially once you come to understand how they came about. So I was very lucky years ago, and it's been a lot of years, like the very beginning of 1990, that we came across the idea of having essential oils, which came about through a person who we purchased some products from who used an essential oil in those products, and we were able to have some of the best of the best come and teach us about essential oils and provide the quality oils that we were lucky enough to start with. The way that we started, and people ask me, well, where did you learn aromatherapy? Because back then there wasn't a lot of sources for that, particularly in the United States. And I tell people that I learned aromatherapy over the kitchen table because after our classes that we imported French people to come and teach and people from England, we would kind of sit around the kitchen table when everybody had gone, and, we were, again, by ourselves with them, and got to ask lots and lots of questions, and they shared lots of valuable information, things that kind of, really wouldn't be happening today in our world. And, of course, the Internet wasn't doing what it's doing these days, so you had to get things the hard way, or we would think they were the hard way today. But having started out with some of the very best, both information-wise and oil-wise, kind of set a standard that you can't go down from, and we wouldn't want to. So we were very fortunate that our oil company that we started with had both biochemists and also French pharmacists, because, of course, in France, aromatherapy is very much part of medicine. And so you may go to a pharmacy like we would here, and maybe we would buy an over-the-counter cold or flu medication, or we would get a prescription filled from our doctors for a cold or flu medication. You could also go there and you could get an aromatherapy prescription filled for what you could do for cold or flu with essential oils. So they look at aromatherapy very differently than we are looking at it in this country. In this country right now, we have many, 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 many companies, and it seems like more coming into the field. Every week I see and hear about new essential oil companies. Some do network marketing, some do not. But there are many new ones in both of those areas. And so with all of that demand, there has to be a huge amount of essential oils provided. And when you think that over the years, the sources of the oils that are the best have pretty much been spoken for and the crops have been secured, where does all the new oil come from? Well, there are lots of people getting into that business also, and many of them got into it because it's a good money-making business, the same as some people get into different network marketing companies because they're a good opportunity to make money. But it doesn't necessarily mean that all of that available oil is a super high quality. And we have different standards in place with the companies that we've worked with for years and years and years and years that meet our standards. One of the largest companies that we work with sells to many companies, but they don't sell our oils to other companies. The oils that they have secured, and it took me, when we started working with them, over a year and a half of going back and forth with them to get the oils that I was actually asking them for. And periodically they would send me something that they thought would be okay, but it wasn't what I asked for, and we would reject it. And I used to have two boxes of oils that I approved when they sent to me and boxes of oils that I did not approve when they sent to me. So we got it all narrowed down to the same kinds of oil and places of oil that I was getting previously with our other suppliers. The reason that we had to go to a larger is the reason that most people have to, and that is they can't. Some of the smaller people that we started out with could not supply a large enough quantity of oil for the demands of especially a network marketing company. So the people that, once we got everything settled to what we were needing according to French medical aromatherapy, which if you are familiar at all with French medical aromatherapy, they have a complete different set of standards. Not only just something, well, let's just back up a second here. Many people out here are saying we have pure, certified, therapeutic grade essential oils. But if you certified them yourself, what standard were you using to determine whether they were therapeutic or not? We use the French standard because of the fact that they have been used in medicine, because they work, they get great results, and they have the information on safety, so that not only are they pure and that they do work therapeutically, but they also, in that realm, have to be used safely. And that's where originally, when a bunch of people started jumping on the essential oil bandwagon, what was really lacking was that understanding of the therapeutic, what determines that as far as chemical constituents go. You can't just say something is and hope that that makes it okay. It has to have a certain chemical profile in order for it to work, and it can't be a profile that you put together by putting a little of this in and taking a little of this out. It has to be what comes out of the still. The first shot is therapeutic grade, according to those particular standards. And that's one of the reasons why we are part of the aromatherapy community. And the aromatherapy community, being AIA and those who are members there, and why I usually get asked 2 or 3 times every year to do teleconferences from them, is because we are all part of the aromatherapy community. We aren't just a network marketing company. Now, many people in the essential oil business are exactly that. They're essential oil sellers, and they are not concerned about these organizations or being part of the actual aromatherapy community. I also can certify people to be aromatherapists after 200 hours of study and completing 10 case histories and passing a very big test. So that sets us apart in the fact that we are an aromatherapy company selling quality essential oils along with the other herbal products that are also super high quality. As you all know, probably, if you're in this company, you're getting good results, so you're happy about that. But we also happen to have a network marketing program where you can share these. And it's really, I know a lot of people say, well, I really worry about essential oils if they're in a network marketing company, but it's the best way, really, for people to learn of aromatherapy, because with networking, we're working with people one-on-one, and so we have that opportunity to sit down and share with them and actually tell them what it is that we have. You know, every bottle of essential oil out there is not the same, and, you know, we can't just certify it ourselves, or we can't come up with some other kind of sales pitch, basically. We need to have real education. And if you don't want people to get real education, it means there's a lot of things you don't want them to ever find out about or inquire about, because if you're only an essential oil seller, you probably have things that you really don't want people to know about, because otherwise you would be able to put it right out there like we do from the beginning. Another thing that some people were saying about their oils were that they were EOBBD certified. Well, there's only one place that can happen, and that's in France. And we did buy from the laboratory that did the certification, as I said previously, and then they sold it to a pharmaceutical company, their business. But the EOBBD meant essential oils botanically and biochemically defined, and that was signed by both the biochemist lady and the gentleman who was the medical pharmacist. Would sign each gas chromatograph. Not only that it met the profile and was pure, it didn't have adulterants or any other thing wrong with it, or it hadn't been messed with, but it also, by his signature, was being certified that it consisted of the components of a medical grade, which was, again, a lot different than most of what is out there. And so that's the standard that we have maintained since clear back in 89 or 90, when we very first started to be able to secure those oils. Another thing, there was one gentleman who was advertising EOBBD oils, but all he got was a tiny little 2 milliliter sample and a copy of the gas chromatograph to determine if he wanted to buy them. And he passed those things around for years, saying he had EOBBD oils, and all he had ever received was a tiny little bottle and the gas chromatograph. So not always is everything should be taken at face value. We have books, notebooks, big notebooks, full of gas chromatographs, because you can't just get a gas chromatograph and put it out there. And you may notice if you go to some companies that say they have gas chromatographs, and say you want to look at lemon, and you go to the lemon gas chromatograph, and it says that it was dated from like 8 years ago, that means they haven't either gotten gas chromatographs for each batch, or they would have a really, really, really old citrus oil. And since the lifespan of citrus oils is, 6 months to maybe a year if you take care of them, you wouldn't want an oil that was being advertised with a gas chromatograph that's, 8 years old. So it's really hard, and I know it's complicated sometimes, especially when you're a new person and you really want to have good quality oils, but you really don't understand necessarily what constitutes that. What are the requirements for something that is aromatherapy is going into therapy. And so you want to have things that meet those medicinal standards. Doesn't mean that you're all going to go out and be aromatherapists or practitioners, but you still want to have that quality, because that's the quality that aromatherapy originally was based on, and the French, of course, were the major leaders in that area. So we had that. We've always had that. We always will have that. And, it's a lot of work to maintain that, with the weather changes and so many things that have happened, the storms that are, whipping through there, different areas of the country and around the world, because aromatherapy is a worldwide industry. We get oils from all over the entire world, and it takes a lot to keep up on that. And it takes a lot to stick with the quality and the requirements biochemically of what an oil must meet in order for us to buy it. And, many people have gone to not getting citrus from Italy because it's more expensive. So they can get citrus from Brazil, and they can get citrus from other places. But those other places don't meet the same quality standards, and you can tell sometimes because a sweet orange really isn't sweet. And so we, search and keep our standards that we set originally, and they still apply today. So with that, you can maybe have a little better understanding of the differences in some oils, or the differences in some of the presentations that you hear out there. Because people say, well, what do you tell people when they say, well, the first thing I tell people, if somebody tells me they have the only pure oils in the world, well, nobody has the only pure oils in the world. We have our standard. We stick with our standard. It's very, very high. It's some of the best oils in the world. But that doesn't mean that there is not some other person who uses some of the oils from a country that we do. They don't get from our supplier oils that we have approved. They hold those for us. They're not on the price list, and other companies don't buy those. They are more expensive, and that's one of the reasons why most companies don't compete with us for those on the marketplace out there, or are really concerned about buying them, because it costs them sometimes 2 or 3 times more than oils they're able to buy just on the general standard market. Another thing that people want to know is, are they organic? And, of course, we want our oils to be organic. We don't want oils that have got pesticides or something else on them that have been contaminated in some way. And if they can't be certified organic, and many third world countries grow organic because they really don't have any choice in the matter. They don't have money for anything else, but they also don't have money to get their oil certified. So if you know absolutely positively that they're organic, they just lack the certification, they're still organic. Wildcrafted is the same. You have to, know where they come from, and as was discovered here not long ago, you cannot basically rape a country of things that are plants that are endangered, and we also have to make sure everything is sustainable and that we aren't contributing to the loss of any plant materials that could become extinct. So along with that, we want to make sure that we pass on responsible safety information. And I know in the beginning a lot of people go, ooh, safety, you mean everything that's organic and natural isn't just safe? Well, if you have very high-quality oils, you have to be sure that you know how to use them, just like anything else that you buy, whether it's herbs or over-the-counter medications or anything else. you don't buy a bottle of aspirin, if you're somebody who buys aspirin, and just figure that you can take, a handful 2 or 3 times a day. You know when you get the bottle what you can and can't do with it. And it's the same thing with the essential oils. We just need to be responsible, which is why we have our little coding system so that pregnant women or people with small children can, look those up easily when they download their papers. And I hope all of you will encourage people to download the information sheets because they do have safety on there. They have any information that you may need to know. If you work with elderly people or are an elderly person or have elderly people in your family or small children, what you can and can't do with them. And that's very important because there has been misuse in many companies with very powerful oils that really should not be in the hands of small children or the elderly because they have basically much harder time detoxing chemicals from their body because with small children, their livers are not fully developed. And with the elderly, they're kind of going back to that where their livers may not be working as effectively as they did when they were younger. The other thing that we wanted to do, besides have maintained the French quality of the medical grade essential oils, was to teach safety, which we do, and we have a lot of information on that. We also wanted to formulate blends that are appropriate for the person who is to be using them. And eucalyptus globulus is an oil that is not really appropriate for small children. It's a little harsh, and they would have a little harder time for their body to eliminate that. So we used eucalyptus radiata. So when I made formulas that were like the adult wellness, we also made a children's wellness, and it's for children and the elderly, and that would also include anyone else who has a debilitating illness where their livers also may not be functioning at the full level. So that one formula that's made for adults that has oils in it that are a little too harsh for small children or the elderly, diluting it down and just saying, okay, for adults you take this much, for children you take this much, or use this much. We formulated the blend to be non-toxic for children in the first place, and to also be able to be used with the very elderly or those who are infirmed in some way, so that it is safe for them from day one. They're not taking an adult formula like the Tri-Remedy, for example, that has phenols in it that most healthy adults can handle with no problem if they're used as directed. But for children and the elderly, diluting that down would still not be appropriate. And I was surprised how many years it took before anybody else came out with even a single blend that was actually formulated for small children. And so that's why maybe we have a lot of blends available, is because we have things for normal, healthy adults, and we have things for children and the elderly. But I feel that is a responsible thing to do, and it works great for us, and I think you'll find that it'll work great for you also. If you haven't tried some of the blends, what we like about blends is anybody can go and buy a bottle of tea tree just about anywhere. My grandson actually called me because he ran out of tea tree and he started to get a sore throat. So he called me from Target, and he was going to buy Target tea tree. And there's nobody in Target who knows a single thing about that bottle of tea tree, where it came from, or if it's toxic or non-toxic, if it's going to burn his throat or not burn his throat. Those are the kinds of things that not every single person is going to know when they go buy an oil. So that's what we have to know, so that we can make sure when you buy our bottle of tea tree, it's not going to be burning your throat. So we need to not get in the position of my grandson where you have a sore throat and you didn't buy any more good tea tree, so you're out, trying to figure out what am I going to do now. Buying essential oils from somebody that has no information about them is never a good idea. It is also never a good idea to buy essential oils that only say eucalyptus. Well, there's many kinds of eucalyptus, and they have different audiences that they should or should not use. So if it says eucalyptus, is it eucalyptus globulus that you wouldn't be using on a small child? Is it eucalyptus radiata, which you would be using on a child? Is it eucalyptus citriodora? Is it eucalyptus smithy? There are many kinds of eucalyptus. It's like sending people out to a parking lot full of cars and saying, could you bring my car around? It's a Ford. Well, how many Fords would be in a parking lot? If you don't know more than it's a Ford, you don't know what you're looking for. If you don't know anything more than it just says eucalyptus, you don't know what you're getting. And if you have a company that's all they're putting on a label is it's eucalyptus, I consider that to be a company, because they're not giving you the information you need, to be a company that actually doesn't know that much about aromatherapy. They just know you should have a eucalyptus oil, and they may not even know which one they have. So there's lots of things that you need to look at. There's lots of ways of comparing. If someone says, well, I bought this one and you have that one, what's the difference? Well, pretty much the difference is we exactly know what we have. We know that it's meeting the French medical standards, because that's the aromatherapy I teach. It's the French medical aromatherapy, and have been doing that for about 30 years now. And like I say, many companies really don't understand. They want to have oils. Everybody's got oils. People won't want to be in our company if we don't have oils. That's not an education. It takes a while at the company level for a person to be educated to the point where they can select oils and try and maintain some kind of standard, or understand even what you're looking for or where it needs to come from, meaning countries, or what part of a plant does it need to come from. And it can be very, very dangerous for people to just buy something if they don't even know what part of the plant it came from. Like our juniper is juniper berry. Juniper berry is a pretty safe oil, and it's recommended, for people when they have some kidney issues. Now, juniper, the whole plant, has a very toxic substance in it that can damage the kidney tissue permanently. And so you don't want some company just buying whatever because it said juniper, or from what country or what state, or things that are not really meeting those French medical standards. So I hope this helps a little bit to understand really what kind of a big job it is to sort through the oils, to select only the ones that meet those particular standards, and be able to guarantee you that you're having safe oils, that if it's recommended for small children or the elderly, that it's going to be a relatively non-toxic. I mean, anything can be toxic, even water, if you overdose on it. But in the world of aromatherapy, we have non-toxic oils for those groups of people. And people are always saying, okay, this is for children, like, one of our oils that we specifically have for children. It does not mean that anybody can use it. It's just that some of our adult oils aren't recommended for children, but the children's can be used by anybody. But they're made particularly for those groups of people that are young children, the very elderly, and people who may have some kind of a chronic condition that has weakened them and made it harder for their organs of detoxification to work for them. So as always, it's for your best interest that we work and do what we do and spend more money to get the really good oils, which is why some people, as they maybe have, tried different oils here, there, and everywhere, and that's what people do, and there's no problem with that, have found that some of ours seem to work better for them, and that is because of all of that work that we do to secure oils that actually really do work and make sure that they have the constituents they're supposed to have and they don't have anything they're not supposed to have. So give some a try. You'll probably have some favorites. Trauma Relief may be one of them. If you've had any pain, you probably maybe have sampled that one. The lavender is incredible and an oil that every family should have. We've been using it for so many years for so many things, and I think you probably will find a bunch of amazing uses for it yourself. So we meaning I, hope that you enjoy these oils and that they will bring a good and maybe improved state of health for you, your family, your friends, and anyone that you choose to share the business with.
To start your own HB Naturals business, visit www.workfromhome411.com. You can also buy wholesale or retail at www.LoveTheseProducts.com. Thanks for watching.